Guys, there's so much stuff to talk about, from NIO starting a crackdown to new phone news to president talking about some pacing problems, etc., etc. Oh my God, we got so much to talk about. So let's talk about the first big major announcement on Weibo, which is the Twitter of China. NIO has announced that they are continuing to take only 60 days to pay suppliers, which is, of course, very, very good, because a lot of people have been speculating that NIO, takes longer than usual to pay their suppliers so that they can make their balance sheet look better. This is, of course, they coming out to say this gives confidence that there aren't any sort of cash flow problems, or they're not doing anything dirty behind the scenes, which is very, very nice. And then, of course, a big major news is with Apple. Of course, Apple, with their latest software, supports UWB, and that also means support for NIO and also for Envoy vehicles. A lot of the key features that you have only on the NIO phone is now going to be available on iPhones, which is going to be very, very nice. But this also means that the NIO phone will pretty much become redundant in a sense. There won't be the exclusive reason to purchase a NIO phone for better control of the car. You're going to also have that on the iPhone. So they might, after a while, cancel the NIO phone altogether, which I think is a very logical move to do to save on money. Now, the CEO has said before that they had 3 phones planned. So, of course, NIO Phone 1, NIO Phone 2, and then they're going to have another one. And who knows what's going to happen after that. But the whole entire reason that they had the NIO phone was because they wanted better control of the car with the UWB, which is exclusive on the NIO phone. So that's very nice. I want to see NIO save money, which is very, very good. Now, the other interesting thing, NIO's president on NIO Radio has admitted to some pacing problems, and this has to do with NIO Day. And he talked about how NIO Day is always at the second or third Saturday of December, and it creates a lot of pacing problem because everybody's hyped up, but then it's the end of the year, and then in Q1 next year you have Chinese New Year, and then to start delivery of the new product, usually it's in March, and after Chinese New Year, the hype dives down, so you have to re-hype the product and everything, and that's just a whole mess. And the Q1 is also not a big quarter for delivery, so that is indeed a pacing problem. And that also, a lot of people say, how come you can't just launch the car and deliver the car right away? Because right after launching the car, you have Chinese New Year, which means that's a bad time to launch the car. So they're probably going to adjust the date of NIO Day according to NIO's president. And I think that's very, very nice because, at the end of the year, this is when all the subsidies comes to an end. And next year, you don't know if the subsidies are going to be better or worse. Usually it's worse. So a lot of people will want to take delivery of their car in Q4. And you just launched the car in Q4. It's a bad time to launch the car. So I'm with the president on this one. I think they should move NIO Day maybe to Q3 or maybe a little bit earlier, maybe in summer. So we'll have to see what they come out with that. But I do agree with them on this one. We all have been wanting them to launch the car and start deliveries right away. And part of that reason that they can't do that is because of when NIO Day happens. So hopefully they can change that. Now, what about the crackdown? This is pretty interesting. So on the NIO app, we all got this notification that NIO has begun cracking down, and you can actually become a snitch, all right, and get paid to become a snitch. So what is this crackdown? Of course, this is good for shareholders. This is, of course, people abusing the free battery swap policy for business purposes, okay? So if you guys didn't know, a lot of people have free battery swap, including me. I have unlimited free battery swap. I can swap every day. I can swap, now I can go swap again. I can swap 10 times a day. It's all free, okay? This is, of course, has some costs for NIO, and it wouldn't really be ethical for me to do that. And some people have started abusing this. Well, it's been a long time. They've been abusing it for a long time, including swapping the car and then using the electricity in the car to power their convenience store, to charge other cars, that kind of stuff. And they have, of course, they can see the stats, like, oh my God, you're discharging electricity, and if you're discharging too much, we're gonna call it a stop. You can't do that. So they've done that, but there are still people that use their cars for business purposes. For example, as a taxi, right? As Uber, almost like Didi here in China. And even quite famously, a few months back, there was an ES8 who was just using their car as like a truck, towing things, taking orders. You want stuff moved from this place to that place, he takes that order. Swapping is free, so he actually has no costs of mileage. And of course, this is not good for NIO, right? You don't want people to just use the free electricity for business purposes. So anytime you see, so you can be a snitch, right, and report this, and any successful leads will give you 66 NIO points, which is roughly worth about 80 cents US dollars. So you get paid 80 cents to become a snitch. And basically, it's if you see a NIO on any sort of ride-hailing platform or on any social media platform where it's like for rent, so you can like borrow your car, lend it out to a friend, but then if you're renting it out and getting money for it, that's a big no-no. Okay, so you can lend your car to a friend and they can drive it, that's fine. But if you rent your car out on a platform and you're getting paid for that, that's a no-no. And of course, you can't do any of the ride hailing or carrying, doing trucking business and all that kind of stuff. That's business purposes, and that's clearly not allowed. So yeah, and if you violate that, right, they will take away your free battery swap policy, which I think is very, very fair. Okay, so obviously I'm not doing any of that. I'm not doing ride hailing or any sort of. I'm just using it for daily driving. But there are people that do use it for those kind of nefarious purposes. I remember when they launched. It was a while ago. I forgot which car it was. Oh yeah, when they launched the EC7 and the ES8, and this was like 3 years ago. NIO CEO on stage talked about how there was this one first-gen ES6 that the owner used his car basically to carry stuff from his company to the factory and all that kind of stuff back and forth, using his ES6 as a truck almost. And of course, he has free battery swap. And he basically back then had the car with the most number of swaps, with the most mileage, because everybody's just using that car as a truck, and his employees were using it as a truck as well. And he talked about how the amount of money that he saved from free battery swap, was enough to buy a BMW X3. Yeah, he actually said that on stage, which was kind of shocking. But clearly, you can tell that the free battery swap bears a cost, and people, NIO doesn't want people to abuse it. So that's good. So more cost-saving stuff, which is very, very nice. So that wraps it up for this video. I hope you liked it. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.